So I just wanted to talk about a little bit of a psychology lecture, but less psychology and more the logistics of rule following. So I don't like calling them rules, right? That's what I don't like calling them. Um, Everyone says follow your rules. You set rules for yourself, hold yourself accountable to those standards, and it's true, right? But when you use that terminology, rules can be broken. I'm a rule breaker. If you're watching this video, you're obviously interested in day trading or in the online money space, and so I would be assuming that you're not necessarily a rule follower by any means as well. So I don't like using that terminology as rules, because rules can be broken. It's really that simple. Rules can be broken to where if you use the mentality of not giving yourself a choice whatsoever, right, it won't be broken because that's just what you do. And so I think that is why system creation, having a system, is a way better terminology than having a model or following my rules, right? Because at the end of the day, if you want whatever vocab you use, rules, whatnot, yes, that's what you have to do. You got to follow these set of criteria. But if you use the mindset of creating a system, a step-by-step things in order that you do every single day, right, that cannot be broken, because if it's broken, you didn't follow your system. And so now your win rate, your data from Forex replay, your back-tested data you ran over a simulation long term, all of that data goes out the window because you didn't follow a system. And once you have a system, right, day trading becomes easy. You just simply follow your system. And it's not about, bending your rules, right? My psychology was bad. When you have a system, the only thing that can be bad is the executions, right? Once you have a system, you can necessarily take the entirety of psychology out. Now, don't confuse having a system for having no discretion, right? Your discretion can simply be, okay, for take profits, where's the best liquidity pool? Or, okay, I have to deem a liquidity pool as my point of interest to then qualify my entry system, right? But once you switch to the mindset from having rules, right? I have rules that I follow. Again, I just have the mindset that rules can be broken. It's as simple as that. And once you switch to a system, it's simply following the system. With rules, it gives people a little more leeway to how they're going to bend things, right? Within their data collection, within how they approach the charts. Where what a system is you wake up at the same time every day. You do the same things pre-market in an exact, a repeatable order, right? That's documented. And then you go step by step in your quote unquote trading criteria from the top down all the way to a mechanical entry that you follow every single time, right? You're not skewing that. Now, could you make a system where you enter on any single PD array if you're trading ICT or order flow, different types of absorption, maybe a different indicator? Yes, but that has to be supported with data. If there's no data, right, you're simply just putting rules out there. There's this misconception that's not true, that you can just trust everyone in the space. Like, I don't have to have data on this. I know fair value gaps work. Like, no, that's actually wrong. You do need data on this. If you don't have data on it, I believe that you can't trust it because you're the one executing it. And so if you can't recreate it, or a simulation can't recreate it, or a trading bot that you've coded can't recreate it, then, I don't think it's viable to be trading, and you're kind of just trading blindly. So with that being said, you need to begin collecting data in live market, right? Whether that's journaling, that's what you do, and lay out a set of steps. What I would advise is that all of you need to go into FX Replay and have data, and within this data, you have to have a baseline of something. Create a system, right? A step-by-step of what you're doing, when you're going to execute it, time-wise or value-wise, and have that same entry criteria each time, and simply just backtest. It's going to take a long time to do this way, how I'm teaching you right now, but this is what you should do. You should backtest that through, right? You create a system. If you want to call it a model, whatever. I just don't like calling it that because, to me that doesn't sound, it's not professional. But you create a system and you backtest it through. Am I telling you that it's going to be profitable just putting something together, right? Everyone thinks like, it's you, not the system, which it can be true in some instance. Maybe, it can be true, but this is where your due diligence is really gonna have to come in, and you're gonna have to grind, right? You know, everyone talks about trading is just like this glitch, this life hack. No. There's going to be points of grinding, and so getting data is going to be one of that grinding, right? Forward testing is like the quote unquote fun, you know, this is where you're really have a chance to make money, but you're gonna have to make sacrifices and really put in repetitions. Think of FX replay as truly the education. Truly, you know, you want to make college level salaries, right? On a computer, well, you're gonna have to put at least college level work in. It's that simple. You know, this comes with work. So you're going to make a system, right? And you can steal this using other people's key components online, whether it's order flow, whether it's support and resistance, right? Just something with steps from top-down analysis with a mechanical entry of some sorts. And then you can have discretion in it, but discretion needs to be applied to certain things. So like maybe your discretion is take profit, or maybe your discretion is whether it's at the 0.5 or the OTE for entry. That's just examples, right? You have to be able to think out of the box. I can't give you an exact just things to use because I believe everyone should be trading differently depending on your style, your variance, your financial situation, your livelihood situation, what times you can trade. So I'm not going to be the guy that's just going to give you a working system right away. And I do also believe in alpha decay. And so I don't think that people should be sharing systems publicly all the time for free on YouTube, publicizing them everywhere. But what you should do is you create a system using other people's components, using your components, whatever you're comfortable with that you can continually execute. And you're going to backtest. You're going to go through a large portion of data. And truly, don't look at the win rate. Don't think about what's going on, the success rate. Don't factor any of that in. Simply follow the system as mechanical as you create it. Get the data, right? In this data set, understand that the more data you have, the more accurate it's going to be. So do yourself a favor and actually get multiple years of data at minimum. And now, the likelihood of that being a positive backtest that is profitable is unlikely. But that's not a bad thing. You're going to take that data, right? And now you're going to look through it and you're going to refine it and you're going to make a slight modification to the system. And then you're going to have to re-backtest it all again, right? And this is the grind that I'm referring to. You're like, well, yeah, this can take so much time. Well, yeah, it is going to take time. But once you can do it, trading becomes easy and you actually have some sort of data. You're not just guessing, right? And it's systematic. It's not following my rules. Oh, I broke a rule today. No, you just follow the exact same thing every single day. And can it have discretion? Yes. Machine learning is 99% of the reason why a lot of probably quantum mechanical systems are actually profitable, right? Machine learning with people that code and are in quant is essentially our discretion to most scenarios. So you're going to have to make a slight modification and then you're going to have to re-backtest it. Now you'll have another data set, right? And you can compare and contrast the two data sets. Now, it's going to be repetitive, but you have to go in again. You know, this second backtest could be worse. It could be better. I hope it's better, but it could be worse. And then if it's worse, you're not taking a step back. Lose that mindset. If it's a worse backtest, now you can understand that that's not a step back. That's actually a leap forward because now you know what not to change, right? Now you have a data on another variable that you're like, okay, I actually had lower success with that. So what I would do is revert that variable back and switch to another, right? Switch another variable of the system, backtest it through, and keep replacing and finding success. And now you can speed up this process by truly taking good data, right? If you're really taking good data, it's not going to be like, okay, you punch in a trade on an FX replay, okay, it loses, I just move on, and then I look at the stats, right? No. These should come with likely screenshots or some sort of things to note. It should come with things to note within the trade that are possibly signatures to analyze, right? Like, okay, these equal highs became protected. Okay, we left these equal lows down here. Why is that? Okay, we reaccumulated here, and maybe in my system I have an automatic break even. When we start accumulating, we manipulated higher and then went lower, right? Those are things to note. So then when you go and do the next back test, you have more things than just guessing. You're not just guessing, right? You're like, okay, let me let me change the break even to after it runs for over 2 RR. Well, why are you doing that? You can do that, right? But like, why wouldn't you just figure out the signature first? There's signatures that you can read in price, and you have to analyze in a deep manner and understand that it's not just about clicking buy or sell in the FX replay, looking at the statistics and reanalyzing. No, it has to come on a much deeper level. Forex Factory should be noted every single day you're trading on it, right? It should be noted every single day you trade of what the day is, what are the economics, what time are the economics, and not even that day, but what are the economics tomorrow. The weekly outlooks should be noted for all of these trades if you're really serious about creating a system, right? And people are exceptions. People can become just profitable, milk prop firm payouts by discretion, yada, 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 all of that. But okay, when shit hits the fan, having an actual system with data, you're not going to have any stress. You're not going to have any stress when you take a loss. You're not going to have any stress when you take a win. You're not going to have a stress when something happens, when there's an execution error. Where some of these people where they're trading purely discretionally, if they break a rule or something, it can go haywire very, very quickly. Where if you have an actual system, that just doesn't happen, And it also fixes your psychology. You're going to be able to understand more about trading and variance and equity curve to where your psychology is going to be better if you have a profitable system, because you're simply going to trust the process. Where if you are trading with too much discretion, you're just going to be second guessing yourself. So I truly believe in making a system to some extent. Do I think discretion is good? Yes. I trade with quite a bit of discretion. A lot of people trade with a lot of discretion that are very successful. But also understand that no trading style is exactly the same. You have to find what works for you. And just because you want something to work with you, bottom ticking, top ticking, I want to be able to bottom tick and top tick, doesn't mean that's for you. One-to-one systems, one-to-one inversions, or absorption using support and resistance with order flow, like a VWAP. Just because that works for other people, you're like, damn, that looks good. Like, he's really printing with that. Doesn't mean it's for you if you cannot execute it. And that's why creating a system is the best thing you can do, because you've shown that you can execute it constantly and there's no need to adapt, really. Okay, obviously, the market's adapting, and so you can pick up on new tendencies, keep refining, but you get the point. And so that's what I firmly believe is what all people should be doing, because I think that's the fastest way to turn profitable. Yes, people can be bottom ticking and top ticking, and you can make a system with that as well, right? But don't let all these people online convince you to do one thing that you cannot find success with, right? And yes, there's a fine line between I just started and so I can't find success, and okay, I'm 4 years down the line and I can't find success, right? You have to be brutally honest with yourself on why is this not working for me. As you're trading it, and then as you're back testing, you can easily be able to pick up on, okay, why is it not working? And then this is why I always encourage you to modify a quote unquote system, not just rules, because when you modify the system, that's set in stone, and that's what you do every single time. And that's what I truly believe is the fastest way to become profitable, is by having a system, because that takes out as much discretion as possible, right? Like, yes, it's probably going to have some discretion, but it takes out as much discretion as possible to where you can't make a lot of human-made errors, because that's why most people fail, is truly human psychology or human execution errors. And yes, again, I'm going to keep emphasizing on this. Trading discretionally, it works. People just trade discretionally to draw on liquidities. It really works. But that does not mean it's going to be the fastest way for you to become profitable, because you're going to need a lot of market experience to do so. And everyone's brain is wired differently. Understand that mental health, the way your brain's wired, all of that is so real. No one is the same person. It's that simple. No one's brain functions the exact same manner. Mental health is real. Anxiety is real. And once you get that spike of dopamine or adrenaline on the charts, majority of people, you cannot control yourself. Like, it's just how it is. People talk about like only 1% of people are profitable because of the fact they can't control themselves on the chart. Well, have they ever stopped to look and really break down what's going on? Is it you can't control yourself, right? Or is it your brain literally can't control yourself because when you enter this trade, you have no data on it, and so you're getting a spike of dopamine, which then activates your adrenal glands. And once you have adrenaline, You're not thinking logically anymore. The chemicals in your brain will literally rewire the way you think. People don't understand. Like, there's actual science to this. It's not just a simple, a psychology answer, a discipline answer. People have serious issues. Like, everyone's brain is wired differently. And so the fastest way to get over these psychological issues and breaking these rules and yada yada is having a system in place to actually protect yourself, to where, okay, after this trade, you know what? Every time I take a trade, I have my auto lockout settings set. I'm using the X platform, Top Step X. Every time I take a trade, no matter what, pre-market at 8 a.m. exactly every single day before I trade, you know what I do? I lock out. Well, not lock out, but you set the lockout features. 1 trade or 2 trades max, right? And again, some people take like 15 trades a day and they're banking. Some people take 1 trade a month and they're banking. It just depends on you, but you have to be able to filter that out and look at it at a clarity of mind and let go of your ego. Ego is going to tell you, oh, you can conquer this, you can conquer that. And it's true, I believe that you can conquer anything. But why would you not make it easier on yourself? The whole point of trading is to make an income from trading. And whether or not you want to live full time off of it is up to you. But the whole point of trading is to make money. It's not this battle of ego, psychology, discipline, like I just got to be a better person. Yes, strive for that to make it easier, but understand that you're wired differently than different people. And so stop the issue at the root. Stop, people are like, oh, don't use the lockout settings. You should just have the manual toughness to lock out right after the trade. Bro, like, you don't want to make money right away? Like, you don't want to start seeing success in controlling yourself right now? Like, you want to just have a higher possibility of blowing up? That doesn't make any sense. So what you need to do is put your lockout settings on or have your risk under an actual system. It's not impossible to find people to code stuff for live accounts like Trade Live that you can auto lock out, that set these criteria for you that are unbreakable with live money. That's where these people they're faulting. It shows that people just blow up. Like, that's a statistic, is that people just blow up on the charts. And because they trust themselves too much. It's really that true. None of us are perfect, and you can't be perfect. The only person that's perfect is Jesus. That's the only person that could probably control their psychology every single time on the charts. And so once you're man enough to realize that you have faults and there's just some things that human nature can't beat, it's going to change the way you approach the charts, and it's going to change the way that you see psychology for the better, because you're going to immediately start systemizing things. You're going to immediately stop relying so much on your control. Take it out of your control. All these quantum people, these people that trade with AI bots, they say it's the future, and it's true because they don't have human error. They're taking it out. And so once you can drop the ego and understand that, right? Like, I'm human, man. I can't do everything right. There's going to be bad weeks. There's going to be bad days. That's where you're going to start to see success, man. You get on the charts after a breakup. You get on the charts after you had a terrible day. Something happened. You lost a family member. And you think like, I'm strong enough. I'm good. The likelihood is you're not. Yes, there's going to be that 1% that they can do that, but can they do it over and over and over again? Time's going to tell, And so my advice to you is systemize as much as possible and really, really consider the psychology that I'm preaching right now. Really reflect in the mirror about it, and I likely think it will help all of you. And that's what got me my first payouts. That's the truth. Making a system, having actual lockout features that do not change every single day. That's what got me paid. That's what made my first money from the market, is doing it like this, understanding it like this. Hopefully this video was helpful to you guys. If you made it to the end of the video, go work. You should pat yourself on the back. You're doing your due diligence. A lot of people probably made it 10 minutes in and they didn't even get, or maybe like 3 minutes in, they probably didn't even get to the juicy part of the video. So pat yourself on the back, good work. All I asked is that I'm not like selling anything, and all I ask is, if you're gonna use funded accounts, code KyluuQ at checkout. Appreciate you guys, and hopefully I'll have more content soon. Have a great rest of your day.